In this video, I buy a motorized bike off a kid on Facebook Marketplace, fix it up, do some basic maintenance to it, take it for a spin, and I also go fishing. And after all that, I break down in the middle of nowhere. So I really like going fishing, but unfortunately the fishing spot that I go to is about 10 kilometers away and it's filled with hills and off-roading. So I built an e-bike, but unfortunately it blew up and burned my whole shit down. So it's way too far to pedal on a push bike and you can't drive through in a car. So I needed some way to get to the fishing spot. So I decided to buy a motorized bike off a kid off Facebook Marketplace. So we organised a time, we met up, and I got the bike for $350. Okay, this is the bike. So I mixed up some fuel and I put it in the bike. And I also noticed that the bike had a rear flat tire, so I replaced that with a new tire and tube setup. So that cost me about $50. So I'm now down about $400. Let's ride. So the bike had quite a lot of power. It was quite comparable to my 1500 or 52-volt e-bike that I used to have before it burnt up. So it worked really well until it just randomly just cut off on this hill, and then I had to start it back up again, and then it ran fine afterwards, but every 5 to 10 kilometers it just randomly cut out, which was really weird, and then I had to pedal it down a hill to jump start it back up again. But apart from that, it works fine. It doesn't have very much torque. Actually, I might just ride it up to the environmental centre. So this is when the problems really started happening with the chain. It just randomly just kept on popping off the bike, and it took me about 5 minutes each time to put the chain back on. And after that, it rode for a little bit longer, and then the pedal chain popped off, which is really weird. The bike chain just randomly snapped in half, so I had no way of getting up this big hill. I had a choice of either pushing it back up the hill or trying to jump start it going back down the hill. So that's what I ended up doing. This bike doesn't idle, so if the bike stops moving, then the engine stops running. So I had to be really careful to keep the momentum doing a U-turn to go back up the hill. So I was going down this little side road and then the motor just randomly cut off. So I had no way of starting the bike up because I wasn't used to starting up this bike without any chain or pedals to, you know, to get it started. So I had to walk the bike the whole way home. So I managed to push the bike back home, but the bike is really hard to start because there's no chain now. So I figured out a way to start it. I basically engage the clutch, run really fast down a hill, then I release the clutch and push it with my feet, and then it starts up. I really want to go fishing today, see if I can catch something. So I decided to try and do some modifications to the motor and the frame, so hopefully it will run better and it won't just randomly stop working. So let's do that. Take the spark plug out and see how dirty it is. So I'm going to take the CDI thing off. Okay. Yeah, so see that? See how it's like black, like coal? Look at that, that's not good. So I'm going to clean that off on my clean t-shirt. And I'm just going to clean it off with a brush. See that? Pretty good. And then I'm going to put it in. So I'm just going to click this little thing back on. Okay, so the next modification I decided to do was to take this cover for the carburetor off, because apparently that's supposed to give more performance. I tightened down the chain tensioner with some Allen keys, so now it's really tight a lot. So hopefully it still runs properly for tomorrow when I go fishing with it. Okay, put that on. Dies. Hopefully I catch a catfish or a carp or something. If I do, I want to catch and cook it. Oh, ready? Hey, bye-bye. I go to clutch. But yeah, let's go fishing. Push it with my feet. The guy didn't put the idle high. The guy that I bought it from on Facebook Marketplace, he didn't actually make the bike be able to idle because the screw was so loose, it was almost about to just pop right out. So I decided to tighten it with my knife. But turns out that wasn't a good idea because the motor doesn't really work well when it's screwed in, the screw, and it sort of just takes off on its own. So yeah, I decided to just leave it. I was riding down to through the easement to go fishing, but unfortunately the next door neighbour was there, and the next door neighbour has kicked me off this area about 5 times because apparently it's dangerous and there's erosion. So luckily it wasn't the next door neighbour, it was just a random grandpa and his helper, which was just an old lady. So I managed to get through there. He doesn't actually own the area, the council owns it, but he takes it upon himself to enforce it, which is really annoying. But luckily he didn't stop me and I could get to the spot pretty easily.
get out there quick before these people come down here. Tell me to get off. I'm gonna close that up so they can't stop the bike, and also close that up. So, I mean, they could probably just do that, start the bike up anyway, but hopefully they don't know how to. Should probably hide it, butt it up against the fence. Perfect. Not much water at all. A bit more erosion happened here since I last came here. Here's my, well, got it. Set up my baits with some chicken. Yeah, hopefully I catch something. Yeah, so this one's hooked up with chicken. This one's got eel that I caught a few days ago. Hopefully I catch something. Hey guys, I think I got a fish. Check it out. Yep, I got a fish. Yeah, let's reel her in. Big one as well. Oh, I got a fish. I got a catfish. Sick. What's up guys? Still got one line in the water, packing up now. I caught 2 eels, 1 catfish. I'm gonna put them up in this bag here, bring them back home, and I might cook them. Weird noise coming out of this motor. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, look at that guys. See how much that's wobbling? That's not good. So it was at this moment where I started to notice that the motor was getting really loose in the frame. The bolts were starting to come off. So I tried to start the bike up again, but the chain popped off. So I was on the side of the road putting it back on. And then a random lady came out on her car and asked if I was okay. I said I was. And then just after that, I put the chain back on. I ran beside it to try and start the bike up, and then the chain completely snapped in half from all the torque and the motor wobbling. So I was now completely stranded in the middle of nowhere, about 10 kilometers away from home, lots of hills. And since I didn't have a chain on my bike and I didn't have a chain for the petrol, I had no way of pedaling, so I just had to literally walk beside the bike, going through back ways for about 10 kilometers to get back home. Chain just snapped. Yeah, I will. Yep, the back way, through the grass. Not too long, hopefully. Like 2 minutes ago. And yeah, I want to start pushing. See ya. Guess I'm gonna have to be doing that engine rebuild. I don't have any water. Oh, I'm gonna fix up the engine, put a new exhaust on, carburetor, CDI or whatever this thing is, new spark plug, chain tensioner, new wheel set, like really thick wheels, and bounce the sprocket on the disc brakes rather than just all the pressure being on the forks, which easily snap. I'm gonna put new gaskets and everything. I'm about 2 kilometers away from home. About to run the background, of course, everything's falling apart. Don't button for me. Jump on. So walking beside my bike, I finally got home. So I was planning on probably rebuilding the whole engine and the whole frame, fixing everything up, but that would cost me $600. So I was researching it a bit, and what I found is something called a BMX Cub. It's a BMX bike with a dirt bike 125cc motor on it that people put together. So I decided I want to probably build that in a future video, because I actually made an electric hit bike, so I can use the forks and the suspension from that, put it on a BMX bike that I already have, buy a 125cc 4-stroke motor, and strap it all together. So that's probably be my next project. Anyway, thank you for watching my first ever video on the new channel, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya. That's the fish.